Hi, John here. At the house church that my wife and I sometimes attend, a question was asked of me, and I think it's a very good question, one of which I've wrestled with in the past and continue to do so today. Why did Jesus have to die? With a few variations and perhaps a more pious choice of words or phrases, what follows, I think, explains what many Christians would say is the reason Jesus had to die. The explanation demands a literal Adam and a literal Eve who literally were tempted by a talking snake into literally eating from a tree that contained the knowledge of good and evil, and that this literally meant that they fell from a state of grace, and that somehow we, their genetic descendants, inherited a sin nature. As a result, we are in effect useless bags of dung in God's eyes. We can do no good. Everything we do or touch is evil. In fact, we are so evil, so unworthy, that we truly deserve to be hurt forever. This is our ultimate future, not because of anything we have done, but rather because of the bad luck of being descendants of being descendants of a young man and woman who screwed up a long time ago. We inherited a corrupt nature through no choice of our own, but still deserve to be punished for what amounts to a genetic disorder. Why should this be? Because God is a holy and just God who, because we are not born holy and not just, God must hate. The sovereign God has no choice but to hate us. He is, it appears, a slave to his own sense of himself and incapable of changing us or his nature. So he allows generation after generation of babies to be born who are doomed from the moment of birth because of bad genetics to be burned forever. It doesn't matter what good, as defined by human beings, of course, that this baby grows up to do, like feeding the hungry, curing grave illnesses, ending wars. It matters not at all. The serial killer and the gentle nurse are equally repulsive in the eyes of God. They are both infected with the sin gene, and God has no choice but to hurt us forever. We are then doomed, not on account of anything you or I have done or could freely do. We are doomed solely on account of the awful bad luck of being descendants from a couple who screwed up. But wait a minute. This explanation for why Jesus had to die is not yet over. There is a ray of hope on the horizon. We are taught God eventually thought of a plan to help him accept at least some of us. The plan was to send himself to be sacrificed to himself. And here I'd ask you to check the Trinitarian God to see what I mean by that. So he could then accept those of us who believed this was what happened. Jesus' suffering and his death and his blood allowed God to do what he couldn't do all by himself, and that is accept us. Those who doubted this explanation and those who championed it were back to square one. I'm going to read that again. I got my notes here that I'm speaking from. Those who doubted this explanation and those who championed it were back to square one, doomed to be hurt forever in order to keep God holy and just. Then, there we have it, neat and tidy, satisfying for many believers, the explanation for why Jesus died. He died to cure me of the genetic disease of sin, which had doomed me to be hurt forever. All I must do is say I believe all of this is a true story, a true explanation of why Jesus had to die, and I'm instantly cured of the genetic disorder that kept God from loving me. And not only not loving me, but needing me to be hurt forever in order to keep him, or in order to keep him, God, holy and just. I think this, in a nutshell, is the substitutionary theology or explanation many believe answers the question of why Jesus had to die. I admit I have some difficulties with this explanation, but before I tackle these, I want to see if the above explanation is the accepted teaching of some or many Christians. So, if I'm wrong in any of this, I ask that any viewer of this video help me see where I went wrong. I deliberately try to use non-pious language, or the vacuous church cant, which has been used so often no one even thinks of what it is they are saying about God, about Jesus, about you and me. So try to get past the language and deal with the basic theology outlined here. And if you think I'm wrong, show me where and why it is wrong. When this happens, perhaps I'll be better equipped to answer for myself the thorny question of why did Jesus have to die. God bless. Peace, John.